In the spring of 1974, beneath the dry soil of Shaanxi province, local farmers digging a well made a discovery that would forever alter our understanding of ancient history. They uncovered the head of a clay soldier, buried just below the surface. This single artifact led archaeologists to unearth the Terracotta Army, a vast garrison of thousands of life-sized warriors. Yet, this monumental find is merely the outermost perimeter of a much larger, untouched historical site. The central tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China. For over 2 millennia, this inner sanctum has remained sealed, preserving a complex history of absolute power, an obsession with immortality, and ancient engineering that continues to keep modern science at bay. To understand the magnitude of this burial site, one must examine the life of the man it was built for. Born in 259 BC, Yingzheng ascended to the throne of the Qin state at the age of 13. At the time, China was fragmented into several warring states, locked in a continuous struggle for dominance. Through ruthless military campaigns and strategic brilliance, Yingzheng systematically conquered his rivals. By 221 BC, at the age of 38, he had unified China and declared himself Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor. His reign was marked by rapid, sweeping reforms designed to centralize power and unify a vast, diverse population. He standardized the writing system, weights, measures, and the currency. He even standardized the width of cart axles so that vehicles could travel smoothly along the newly constructed imperial road network. To protect his new empire from northern nomadic tribes, he ordered the connection and fortification of various existing border walls, laying the foundation for what would become the Great Wall of China. However, these monumental achievements came at a profound human cost. Hundreds of thousands of conscripted laborers died working on these state projects, and dissent was brutally suppressed through the burning of books and the burying of scholars. Despite his absolute power, Qin Shi Huang was haunted by the fear of death. Having survived several assassination attempts, his paranoia grew, as did his desperation to find a way to live forever. He sent emissaries on massive maritime expeditions in search of mythical islands where immortals supposedly resided, hoping they would bring back the elixir of life. These fleets, carrying hundreds of young men and women, vanished into the eastern seas and never returned. Simultaneously, the emperor turned to his court alchemists. Based on the rudimentary chemical understanding of the time, these alchemists believed that consuming certain heavy metals could grant longevity. They prescribed the emperor pills containing cinnabar, a bright red ore that is a primary source of mercury. Tragically, rather than extending his life, the chronic mercury poisoning severely damaged his nervous system, exacerbating his paranoia, causing severe cognitive decline, and ultimately accelerating his death at the age of 49. While searching for eternal life, Qin Shi Huang was also preparing for the afterlife. Construction of his monumental tomb complex began shortly after he became the king of Qin and continued for 38 years. According to historical records, the project required the labor of over 700,000 workers, artisans, slaves, and conscripts from all corners of the empire. The necropolis was not designed as a mere resting place. It was intended to be an exact replica of his empire, a subterranean universe where he could continue to rule after death. The complex covers an estimated 38 square miles, making it larger than many modern cities. The Terracotta Army, discovered over a mile from the central mound, was positioned to guard the eastern approach to the tomb. These 8,000 soldiers, complete with chariots, cavalry horses, and functional bronze weapons, were meticulously crafted, each bearing unique facial features and armor details corresponding to their military rank. While the Terracotta Army is world-renowned, the central tomb chamber beneath a large, pyramid-shaped mound remains unexcavated. Our primary source of information regarding its contents comes from Sima Qian, an ancient Chinese historian who wrote the Records of the Grand Historian about a century after the tomb's completion. Sima Qian described a burial chamber of unparalleled extravagance. He wrote that the tomb contained palaces and scenic towers for 100 officials, filled with rare artifacts and wonderful treasures. The ceiling of the chamber was said to be decorated with pearls and gems representing the sun, moon, and the constellations of the night sky, while the floor represented the geography of the unified empire. To protect this immense wealth, Sima Qian recorded that artisans were ordered to construct elaborate mechanical defenses. Crossbows were supposedly rigged to trigger mechanisms that would automatically shoot any intruder trying to enter the tomb. While modern engineers and archaeologists debate whether 2,000-year-old wooden and bronze mechanisms could still function today in a damp underground environment, the historical texts paint a clear picture of a highly fortified resting place. Perhaps the most famous and alarming detail from Sima Qian's account is his description of the tomb's hydrography. The historian claimed that the artisans used liquid mercury to simulate the 100 rivers of China, including the vast Yangtze and Yellow rivers, and the Great Sea, setting mechanisms to make the liquid flow continuously. For many years, modern scholars viewed this description as mythological or highly exaggerated. Procuring, transporting, and managing such massive quantities of mercury in the 3rd century BC seemed logistically impossible. However, modern science has provided startling evidence that supports the ancient texts. In the late 20th and early 21st centuries, geological surveys and soil sampling were conducted on the earth mound covering the tomb. The results revealed highly anomalous concentrations of mercury in the soil, levels significantly higher than those found in the surrounding landscape. Furthermore, the distribution of the mercury anomalies roughly aligns with the geographical layout of China's major river systems. This finding suggests that a vast amount of volatile, highly toxic liquid mercury is indeed sealed within the chamber. This poses a severe biological hazard. Mercury vapor is highly poisonous, and any breach of the central chamber could result in the release of toxic gases that would endanger the excavation team and the surrounding environment. The presence of mercury and the potential for ancient traps are formidable obstacles, but they are not the primary reasons why the tomb remains sealed today. The main deterrent is the limitation of modern archaeological conservation technology. Archaeologists learned a painful lesson during the excavation of the Terracotta Army. When the clay soldiers were first unearthed, they were adorned with vibrant pigments, rich reds, greens, purples, and blues. However, after being sealed in a stable, humid environment for over 2 millennia, the sudden exposure to the dry air of modern Shaanxi province caused the lacquer binding the paint to the clay to curl and flake off. Within minutes of exposure, the brilliant colors turned to dust, leaving the statues in the muted terracotta shades we see today. The inner tomb of Qin Shi Huang is believed to be an airtight, sealed environment. It likely houses priceless, fragile organic materials, silk paintings, bamboo scrolls, wooden architecture, and textiles that have survived only because they have been deprived of oxygen and protected from modern bacteria and fluctuations in temperature and humidity. Opening the tomb with current technology would introduce outside air, light, and microbes, initiating an immediate and catastrophic process of decay. The history inside would be irrevocably destroyed before it could be properly studied. Therefore, the international archaeological community and the Chinese government maintain a policy of deliberate patience. The site is actively studied using non-invasive techniques such as ground-penetrating radar, 3D imaging, and satellite surveys, which allow researchers to map the complex without disturbing it. The tomb of Qin Shi Huang stands as a testament to the immense power, ambition, and fear of a man who shaped the course of a nation. For now, it remains a silent, sealed time capsule. It waits for a future era when technological advancements in preservation will allow humanity to finally open its doors without destroying the very history it seeks to uncover. Until then, the first emperor continues to rest undisturbed, guarded by his clay army, surrounded by rivers of mercury, just as he intended over 2,000 years ago.